everybody, and Sairam. So welcome to my third lecture on English and the concepts of nouns and the rules associated with it. So till now, I'd just like to take a recap. We discussed what a noun is, the sentence, the basic structure of the English sentence, what the subject means in the English sentence, the types of noun according to use, which are the proper nouns, common nouns, collective nouns, material nouns and abstract nouns, and also nouns according to number, such as countable versus uncountable nouns. And then you have the countless nouns, which are a subcategory of the countable nouns. We also talked about the rules relating to proper nouns. So this is what we have done so far. And in today's class, we're going to discuss common nouns and the rules applicable to common nouns, collective nouns and the rules applicable to collective nouns. Right? So let's start. So let's revisit the definition for a common noun. What is a common noun? A common noun refers to a community, class, caste, or a species of something. For example, American, Christian, car, and orchids. Now, this is just a generic name, right? There is no specific name. Like if you take the example of orchids, there are different types of orchids. You have the butterfly orchids, you have the tiger orchids. But when you say orchid, it's just a generic name for this class of flowers, and therefore it becomes a common noun. Now, what are some rules applicable to common nouns? Well, the first rule is that when the common noun is used in the singular form, then an article is required before it. That is, we have to use the, or an when we use a common noun in the singular form. But if it is used in the plural form, then it need not be preceded by an article. Let's take a look at some examples, right? The first example is clerk is typing a letter. Now, this is wrong because clerk is a common noun, and because it's in the singular form, we have to have an article preceding it. So the correct form would be the clerk is typing a letter, or a clerk is typing a letter. Example number 2. I saw ram in the forest. What is a ram? Ram is a masculine of a goat. So again, ram is a common noun. So is a forest. But forest is already preceded by an article, which is the, and therefore it is correct. But ram, being a singular common noun, is not preceded by an article. So therefore we have to correct it. And the correct form would be I saw a ram in the forest, or I saw the ram in the forest. You can use the or a here, but you just have to be careful about what the meaning or the purpose or the intention of that sentence is. For example, when I say I saw a ram in the forest, which means that I saw a ram in the forest. There is no specificity attached to this ram. It could be any ram. There could be many rams, of which I saw a ram in the forest. But when you use the, for example, if I say I saw the ram in the forest, means that perhaps I live in a village near the forest, and there is generally a ram which roams around in the village. And today I saw that particular ram in the forest. So that's when I use the. So the is generally more specific than using a. All right. Now, students are making notes. Now, what are the common nouns here? You have students and we also have notes. Since they are in the plural form, it is not necessary that they be preceded by an article. So therefore, this sentence is correct. However, you can also write the students are making notes. That's also correct. It can be preceded by an article. It need not be preceded by an article. Both forms are right. Now, the doctors are busy in operation. What is a common noun here? There are two common nouns here, doctors as well as operations, correct? Now, the doctors are busy in operation. It's okay to have an article before a plural form of the common noun, that is doctors. But what about operation? We don't have any article before it. We should have an article because it is a singular form of a common noun. So therefore, the correct answer would be the doctors are busy in the operation. All right? Or you can also write the doctors are busy in an operation. Correct? Now, next example, I want to be cricketer. Now, obviously here, this is wrong because cricketer is a singular common noun and it is not preceded by an article. So we should write, I want to be a cricketer. All right. The last example is tailor is stitching shirt. Now, there are two common nouns here. We have tailor as well as shirt. Neither is preceded by an article and both the common nouns are in singular form. So what should we be doing? Since both are in the singular form, both these common nouns should be preceded by an article. So we can say a tailor is stitching a shirt, or the tailor is stitching the shirt, or a tailor is stitching the shirt, or the tailor is stitching a shirt. Go through each form of the correct response because each sentence conveys something different. As I said previously, the is generally more specific than a when you're using common nouns. Okay? Moving on to the second rule for common nouns. When a proper noun is used as a common noun or as an example, then an article is required before it. For example, Kalidas is Shakespeare of India. We all know that Kalidas is a famous poet, was a famous poet in India, and we all know Shakespeare was a famous writer originating from Great Britain. Now, there's only one and one William Shakespeare in the whole world. So when we say, since Kalidas is a proper noun and so is Shakespeare, what is this rule trying to say? The rule is trying to say that when a proper noun is used as a common noun or as an example for comparison purposes, then an article is required before it. So here, Kalidas is a proper noun. And as we learned in our previous class, there is no article before a proper noun at the beginning of the sentence. So this is right. But Shakespeare here is also a proper noun, but it is used as an example for comparison purposes. It is used as a common noun. So in this case, we have to have an article before it. So we can say Kalidas is a Shakespeare of India or Kalidas is the Shakespeare of India. Both meanings are different. When we say Kalidas is a Shakespeare of India, what we are trying to say is that there are many poets and writers in India who are as good as William Shakespeare. Of these writers and poets in India, Kalidas is one such writer or a poet who is comparable to Shakespeare, and that's why we say Kalidas is a Shakespeare of India. However, if we say or if we feel that no, there's only Kalidas among the Indian poets and writers who is as good as Shakespeare, then we have to say Kalidas is the Shakespeare of India. There is nobody else in India who is as good as Kalidas and who can be compared to William Shakespeare. Clear? Let's look at a few more examples. His teammates called Ramesh Dhoni of the team. Now, what are the proper nouns? What are the common nouns here? Well, the common nouns, the proper nouns are Ramesh and Dhoni. But again, Dhoni is used for comparison purposes, right? So we have to look at the second rule. Now, his teammates called Ramesh a Dhoni of the team. That is correct. Because there may be other players in the team who are as good as Dhoni, and his teammates feel that Ramesh is one of these good players who is as good as Dhoni, and that's why they call Ramesh a Dhoni of the team. However, if they feel that it's only Ramesh in the team who is as good as Dhoni, then they say his teammates called Ramesh the Dhoni of the team. Alright? Third example, Sanjay Dutt played the role of a Gandhi. Now, it could be said as Sanjay Dutt played the role of a Gandhi, or it could be said Sanjay Dutt played the role of the Gandhi. Now, when you say Sanjay Dutt played the role of a Gandhi, meaning Sanjay Dutt played the role of a person who embodies the principles and who is like Mahatma Gandhi in terms of character and behavior. But when we say Sanjay Dutt played the role of the Gandhi, means that Sanjay Dutt played the role of Mahatma Gandhi in, say, for example, a movie which was based on the Indian film struggle. Clear? So you have to understand the meaning and the intention and the purpose of the sentence before deciding whether to put the or a before a proper noun which is used as a common noun or as an example for comparison purposes. Now, Mumbai is London of India. This sentence is obviously wrong because here London is a proper noun which is used for comparison purposes. So what do we have to do? We have to use an article before it. Now, which article do we use? Do we use the or do we use a? In this case, Mumbai and London are comparable because they are both cities, okay? So when we are comparing two equivalent things or places or people, we always use the. Mumbai is the London of India, alright? Now, moving on to collective nouns. What is a collective noun? Collective nouns show collection of a group of persons, things or animals. For example, the word team, army, police, crowd, bevy, school or shoal of fish, bouquet, right? Now, collective nouns are broadly one class of collective nouns are used to describe or denote a group of people. For example, it's not right to say a bunch of girls. It's okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but then the right way of using it is different. We have to use the correct terminology, and collective nouns are one such group of nouns where you have to use certain words to denote a group of people. There are different names given to groups of different people, places, or things. For example, instead of saying a bunch of girls, the right way of saying this is a bevy of girls. A school or shoal of fish, instead of saying a group of fish. A crowd of people, a bouquet of flowers, a swarm of bees, a litter of dogs, and so on, right? Now, let's move on to the rules of collective nouns. Now, when collective nouns are used in this format, where we are trying to describe or refer to a group of people, where the collective noun is basically the collective noun plus of or plus another noun, such as crowd of people, then the sentence structure is something like this. It should start with an article plus the collective noun plus of plus the plural form of the noun, that is the people, places, or things or animals that we are referring to, plus a verb in a singular form. I'll explain why. Let's look at an example. A team of players is playing on the field, right? Now here, what is team? Team is a collective noun. So what are we trying to say? We are saying it's a team of players, a group of players. So when the collective nouns are used in this particular format, they have to be preceded by an article. So here we are saying, we can say a team of players is playing on the field. We can also say the team of players is playing on the field. Okay. Moving on to the second example, a choir of singer is singing in the church. So what's wrong here? We do have an article preceding the collective noun choir, so that's okay. The verb is also in the singular form. So what is not okay? Well, it says a choir of singer is singing in the church. We have to use the plural form of the noun singer because a choir refers to a group of singers, and therefore it includes more than one singer. So the correct response would be a choir of singers is singing in the church. Keep in mind that the verb is still singular because we are not talking about the singers. We're talking about the choir of singers. Okay, and choir is a collective noun in the singular form, and that's why the verb has to be in the singular form in this kind of a sentence. Now, a crowd of people are marching on the street. What's wrong in the sentence? Well, the verb is in the plural form. It cannot be in the plural form. It should be in the singular form, right? Because we are referring to one crowd of people. So the correct response would be a crowd of people is marching on the street. All right? Now, the second rule of collective nouns is that collective nouns can refer to a homogeneous or a heterogeneous group. A homogeneous group means all individuals, either people, places, or animals, are the same in that particular group. For example, a bouquet of red roses. Now that is a homogeneous group because the bouquet comprises of only red roses. All right. But if I say a bouquet of flowers, that can be heterogeneous because a bouquet can comprise of roses, lilies, dahlias, and so on. Okay, so that is heterogeneous. Heterogeneous means the individuals or the things or animals in that particular group are different. Okay, so collective nouns which refer to a heterogeneous group do not have a plural. For example, furniture. When you say furniture in your house, it means many things. It means tables, chairs, beds, cots, sofas, a cupboard, a showcase, a lot of things, right? Similarly, scenery. If you look at the scenery in, say, Switzerland, it comprises of many things. It comprises of the Alps, most likely, a lake, maybe a waterfall, maybe a field of flowers, and so on. So that is a heterogeneous group. So collective nouns which refer to a heterogeneous group do not have a plural. Let's look at an example. I bought new furnitures for my home. This is wrong because we never ever refer to a collective noun which refers to a heterogeneous group in the plural form. So the correct form has to be I bought new furniture for my home. Now, Police is also a collective noun. So this is rule number 3. And when we talk about police, which is a collective noun, we always use the plural verb. Why is that the case? Because that's just the way it is. Sometimes rules have to be learned the way they are. So, example, police is attending the party. Now, what is police? Police is a collective noun, okay? Now, as per the rule, we have to use a plural form. So what do we say? Police are attending the party. We can use an article preceding the collective noun. So we can also say the police are attending the party. All right. Let's look at the second example. The police have arrested some thieves. Is there anything wrong here? The police have arrested some thieves. No, there's nothing wrong here, because the police are the word police is followed by the verb in the plural form, and there's no other error in the sentence. All right. Now, the last rule for collective nouns. Collective nouns used in the beginning of sentences, other than the types of sentences shown in rule A, such as a crowd of people or the team of players and so on, need not be preceded by an article. This is the example that we discussed regarding police, right? When I said that police are attending the party, I never used an article. It's okay to not use an article, because the collective noun is not the type of collective noun that we talked about in the first rule, which is like bouquet of flowers and so on. Only when the collective nouns are in the type of, a crowd of people, a team of players, a choir of singers, then they have to be preceded by an article. But if it is a collective noun in any other format, such as furniture, scenery, police, it need not, and it is at the beginning of the sentence, it need not be preceded by an article. For example, the furniture in my house is new. The furniture in my house is new. Or I can say, furniture in my house is very new. The furniture in my house is new. Furniture in my house is new. So there is no compulsion there to use an article. All right. So today we discussed common nouns and the rules applicable to common nouns. We also talked about collective nouns and the rules applicable to collective nouns. Do let me know what you think, and if you have any questions or suggestions, you can always put it in the comment box. But this is it from me for today, and I hope to see you again in the next lecture. Until then, wish you all the very best. Thank you.